Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm here to talk about UFC 323. I'm going to be talking about my reaction to all the fights as well as matching up every single fighter from the main card and all the winners from the prelims. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into this video. First fight of the night, we had Myron Santos versus Muhammad Naimov. I didn't actually catch this fight, but I did see the finish. From what I heard, it was a pretty slow-paced fight, not much going on in the first two rounds, and then right at the start of the third round, excuse me, Santos just nukes Muhammad Naimov with a right hand, puts him down, puts him to sleep, and yeah, good win for Myron Santos. I believe he's 17-1 now as a professional, which is a great record, and he's 4-0 in the featherweight division, also having beat Sadiq Yusuf up at lightweight, who was actually ranked at featherweight at one point in time. So yeah, not too much to say about this fight as I didn't watch it, but I do think the next fight for Myron Santos should be David Onama. He's just coming off that stoppage loss to Steve Garcia a few weeks ago. And yeah, I just think it would be a good matchup. I was going to match up Myron Santos with Giga Chikadze, but he is obviously booked against Kevin Vallejos this coming weekend at the Apex. So yeah, I think this would be a good matchup. Myron Santos, definitely a prospect at 145 against a proven, well-rounded guy in David Onama. And but to be honest, I do think this is Myron Santos's fight to lose. Moving on to the second fight of the night, we had Mansour Abdul Malik going out there and absolutely smoking the jobber, let's just say, in Antonio Tricoli. Gets a submission in about a minute flat. And yeah, this guy is, yet again, similar to Myron Santos. He's a prospect in his division, in the middleweight division. Super explosive. He kind of just ran Tricoli across the cage with a huge double leg to start the fight, kept him on the ground, and then as Tricoli tried to stand up, got the standing guillotine choke, tapped him out kind of straight away. Yeah, man, not much else to say except, yeah, he's a good prospect. He's undefeated. And this is one of those guys where I don't think we should rush him too much. Like, I think a lot of people will be kind of looking to get him against a top 15, top 20 guy. But I think a good next fight for Mansour Abdul Malik would be Zachary Reese. He's still super young in his career. I believe he's like 27 or 28. He's not that old. And Zachary Reese, he's been in the UFC for a decent while. He's had a few bad losses, but he just had a win recently against Jackson McVeigh. And yeah, I just think this would be a decent little step up in competition. Like, Zachary Reese isn't a fucking can, dude. He did, who did he lose? He lost to Cody Brundage, which is not a good look, but, he does have a few wins in the UFC. And yeah, I just think it'd be a good little test for Abdul Malik, and also Zachary Reese just recently fought. So I think it just makes sense. He gets to test himself against a pretty tall, rangy striker. And yeah, I think that should be next for Mansour Abdul Malik. Great win, great submission. Third fight of the night, we had the Iwo versus Ebo. We had Iwo Baranovsky versus Ebo Aslan. If you guys haven't seen this fight, please go and watch it right now. This is one of the most insane fights I've ever witnessed live, as I'm sure all of you did if you were watching along live. Yeah, man, an absolute bar fight. This might be the greatest 90-second fight I've ever seen in my life. I mean, just absolute chaos from the start. They kind of just were filling each other out for the first, 20, 30 seconds. Um, I believe, I think it was Aslan who initiated the clinch, kind of rocked Baranovsky, and then Baranovsky just nukes Aslan with a right hand. They just were just absolute chaos, dropping each other back and forth. But Baranovsky got the job done. A lot of people were comparing this to Pat Barry versus Czech Congo, which I could see what they mean, but I don't think Baranovsky was really close to going out at this point. Excuse me, at any point of the fight. But yeah, great win for Baranovsky, and yeah, I have a perfect matchup for him. Unfortunate loss for Ivo Aslan, but yeah, I have a perfect matchup for Ivo Baranovsky, and it makes so much sense right now. And that man is Adolfo Bellato. Would this not just be a fucking insane fight, dude? I mean, come on. Put this on a main card of an Apex, or just in front of a big fight night, maybe in Brazil, something like that. Maybe even the London card, seeing as Baranovsky is from Europe. But man, this would just be an incredible fight, dude. I mean, Bellato, pretty young in his career, just like Baranovsky, swings for the fences. He's always looking for the finish, same as Iwo. And yeah, man, I just think this would be a great banger. It's going to be an absolute war, and we get to kind of see what level Baranievsky's at. You know, he's only 7-0, so slight step up in competition in terms of experience and like people that he's Bellato has fought. You know, Bellato's fought some good guys. You know, Jimmy Crute, Paul Craig, guys like that. And yeah, I just think this would be an absolute banger of a fight. Fourth fight of the night, Jalen Turner returns to the UFC with a first round KO over Edson Barboza. Um, yeah, man, good, great performance from Turner. You know, I definitely expected him to win in the first round. But it was interesting to see like where his mentality was at, and he looked locked in, man. He landed a beautiful step and elbow early in the fight, which cut Barboza up badly. He was leaking blood all over the place. Barboza dropped him. Turner dropped him with a big right hand, and just kind of had Barboza backing up, kind of against the cage, and then he kind of finishes him with a nice combination, drops him again, and finishes him. Yeah, nice little flurry of punches, and yeah, Turner's back. He was very emotional after this win, and he thanked God in his post-fight interview. Man, dude, I'm messing up these words today. But yeah, he thanked God in his post-fight interview. Um, yeah, so he just seems to have been a bit of a different mental state. I mean, the guy's only 30 years old. He never should have retired. I just think he needed some time to get his mind right and kind of reset. So yeah, man, he looked good, and I think a great next fight for Jalen Turner would be Chris Duncan. And I forgot to put the photo in here, but hey, you already know who it is. Chris Duncan. He just recently, on this card, he got a win over Terrence McKinney, which I'll talk about shortly. But yeah, man, I think Chris Duncan versus Jalen Turner will be a great matchup. Obviously, Turner being a lot taller than Duncan will be an interesting stylistic matchup. Duncan being more aggressive, and I think he's a better grappler overall. But both guys pretty well rounded. Yeah, Chris Duncan, Jalen Turner, book it. Fifth fight of the night, headlining the early prelims, we had Bruno Ferreira versus Marvin Vettori. Just a classic Marvin Vettori performance, just kind of eating big shots, standing around at range, trying to be technical, and losing a close decision and acting like he won it. Yeah, pretty impressive performance from Ferreira. He landed some good shots in this fight. It wasn't the most exciting fight, but yeah, he did well. He outpaced Vettori at some points. Landed some nice body kicks, nice spinning elbow at one point in round two, and wins by decision. And now he's ranked, and perfect fight for him. The only fight that I think makes sense at this point, in terms of stylistic matchups and where they are in the rankings, is Paulo Costa. I think this would be an absolute war. I mean, Costa just recently pulled out of his fight against Shara Magomedov. Actually, I think it was Shara that pulled out, but either way, he hasn't fought in a while. He's had a few unlucky cancellations recently, and both guys are going to be right next to each other in the rankings, I believe. I think Costa's 12, and Fajita should be 13 or 14 once he gets ranked tomorrow morning. Yeah, I just think this would be a great stylistic matchup. Um, yeah, I can see Fajita like out grappling Costa for some reason, but yeah, man, I just think this would be a good fight. And yeah, what else to say except book it. Next fight of the night, we had Farisiam versus Nazim Sadikov. This was an incredible performance from Farisiam. He kind of just made Sadikov look like a bit of an amateur, made him look like he didn't belong in there. And Sadikov's a really good fighter. You know, he's only got one loss in the UFC, I believe, in his professional career. I don't even know if he's lost in the UFC, to be honest. But yeah, he's a great striker. And Ziam just really had a great game plan. You know, obviously he hasn't fought in a while. He had that fight cancelled in Paris against, I believe it was Drew Dober he was supposed to fight. Actually, I'm not too sure. But, you know, he was supposed to fight in Paris. Fight got cancelled. Yeah, he came back with a bang here in this fight. And it was kind of a similar fight to his one against Matt Frivola, where he kind of just, controlled his opponent in the grappling, kind of just little broed him. And yeah, Ziam utilized his length really well in this fight. Got some really nice takedowns. Like he kind of had a single leg and like kind of dumped Sadikov down. It was really like domination, really, against Sadikov, who's really good. Like he was treating him like his little brother out there. He had the fucking like single leg like little brother takedown on him. Had some good ground control, nice ground and pound, and then right at the end of the second round, he finishes Sadikov on the ground with some nice shots. And yeah, man, Siam is really good. I'm really surprised that he hasn't got a ranked opponent yet. I know he hasn't been the most active, but he definitely deserves a guy in the top 15. And I think a great matchup for him would honestly be Ignacio Bahamondes. I think this is a tough matchup for Bahamondes. Both guys are really tall for 155, but I think Ziam definitely has the grappling advantage. He's one of those few guys, especially in the lightweight division, who uses his height advantage when it comes to grappling, not just striking. I know Ziam's a good striker, but he just has a great style. I think he knows that he's bigger than most guys at 155, so he can just like dominate them on the ground and finish them if he needs to. With strikes, whether it's be in the clinch or like ground and pound, whatever it is. And he's probably a great striker too. I mean, I haven't seen much of his striking, but I know that he definitely have good, you know, good long range weapons, seeing as he's a pretty tall guy for 155. And it's still crazy to me that this guy lost to Terrence McKinney, but we'll get to him in a second. And the next fight of the night, we had Macy Barber versus Karine Silva. I didn't get to watch all of this, but yeah, it was a fairly back and forth fight. I definitely think Barber deserved to win. She got hit with an illegal upkick in round two and kind of looked a bit dazed. She was a bit rocked, but she seemed to recover well. Got some nice takedowns in the second and third round. And Karine Silva was just, trying to throw up the triangle and do whatever she could to kind of survive. And yeah, she's just not the most skilled fighter. She relies a lot on her aggression, and that kind of cost her in this fight. So yeah, good win for Macy Barber. And yeah, I think the only next matchup for her that makes sense is Erin Blanchfield. I know they were booked to fight in June this year, but it got cancelled at the last second because something happened with Barber mentally or physically. I don't even know what happened, but yeah, I do think they should rebook this fight. It makes sense. There's a little bit of a storyline, a little bit of beef between these two girls now, coming off that cancellation in June, and yeah, I don't see why they shouldn't book it. Other than Erin Blanchfield saying no, which I don't think she will. She doesn't seem like the kind of girl that would turn down any fight. But yeah, man, I just think this would be a good fight. Rebooking Blanchfield versus Barber. Maybe a co-main event in the Apex. Please don't make this a main event. I'm sorry. I know these are top 5 flyweights. I mean, Dana, listen to me. If you're listening, Dana, please don't make this a main event. Put this on the main card of a pay-per-view or something like that next year. Maybe in like, I don't know, New Jersey, whatever you want to do. Just don't make this a main event in the Apex, please. Next fight of the night, we had Terrence McKinney versus Chris Duncan. Chris Duncan gets the round 1 submission. Listen, man, all I gotta say is never change, Terrence. Never change. Terrence McKinney is just the ultimate example of a kill to be killed fighter, and we saw that in this fight. He had Chris Duncan rocked bad multiple times. Was just teeing off on him as he was against the fence. Jesus Christ. And I was watching this fight with my girlfriend, and she was just looking at me like, "Oh my God, he's about to get knocked out," and I was like, "Nah, just wait, just hold on, he's gonna be fine. Just what this dude's fucking made of steel." And lo and behold, he did survive. He got a takedown, and you could just see like McKinney just does this every time. He obviously everyone knows this by now. He either finishes you in the first round or gets finished in the first round. You could just tell like the second that he just realized like he's not gonna win, and he was just like, "All right, fuck it, I'm about to get finished in round 1." And honestly, I kind of respect it. There's no one else out there really like him in terms of his style. Like, he just goes out there to finish you in round 1, and if he doesn't, he's like, "Oh, I've just blown my entire gas tank, and I'm probably going to get knocked out now or submitted." And I honestly kind of fucking respect it, dude. But anyway, Chris Duncan gets him down on the ground. He's landing these little pot shots when McKinney's just kind of like, he's not defending himself, but they're not hard enough for the ref to stop it. Like, I do think they could have stopped it. We kind of saw something similar in terms of the scenario in the Moreno and Tyra fight, which I'll get to soon. But yeah, McKinney's just kind of landing these small little pot shots on the ground. Duncan's landing these small pot shots on the ground, and McKinney's kind of just like face planted, not really defending himself. And then he gets up to his feet again. Duncan takes him down again, and he latches up the Das choke, taps him out halfway through round 1. Yeah, great performance for Chris Duncan. He's one of the most exciting guys that is unranked in 155. Yeah, man, super crazy chin, and I would love to see him against a much higher ranked opponent. Not that McKinney is a low level guy. I just think that Duncan definitely deserves at least a shot at a top 15 guy. But before that, he needs to get through Jalen Turner. I know a lot of people would want him to see him straight away against top 15 guy, but I think we should just keep putting him in these banger fights. I think obviously, as I said earlier, him versus Turner will be a banger fight, bit of a war, and then whoever wins can get a ranked opponent. I mean, Turner was ranked when he retired earlier this year, so I think they both need to fight each other to see who gets a ranking maybe or a ranked opponent. We'll see, but yeah, I just think that fight makes sense. Um, but they're probably going to book Duncan against fucking, I don't know, Manuel Torres. Excuse me, he's already lost to Manuel Torres. Maybe, like, I don't know, they're probably going to book him against, like, Grant Dawson or something. But we'll see, man, we'll see. Main event of the prelims, we had Manuel Torres going out there and absolutely smoking Grant Dawson. I feel bad for Grant Dawson, man. He's a super skilled guy. He only has, like, he's got a crazy good record. Right? He has, like, 2 losses and 1 draw in his career and, like, 23 wins. He's a strong grappler, but yeah, man. I'm just not sure like what his game plan was in this fight because yeah, man, I mean, he didn't really try to take down. He was throwing a lot of kicks, which I get it. Torres isn't the kind of guy that's going to take you down. Like he wasn't afraid to get a kick caught and like taken down because he knows he has a grappling advantage. Maybe I'm not sure that maybe that's why he threw a lot of kicks early on. And then he kind of just like threw this big like looping overhand against Torres, who was a notorious like counter striker, super aggressive, you know, tall. It says he's 5'10", but I feel like he's a lot taller than that. I don't know, dude. He seemed a lot taller than there. And Dawson just kind of overextends massively on this big kind of looping hook overhand hybrid punch, and Torres just leans out of the way, kind of lands. I think he landed like an uppercut. Left hook hit him in the shoulder, and he hit him with the right hand, dropped him super badly, finished him off with ground and pound. Yeah, great win for Manuel Torres. Yeah, like I said, I feel bad for Grant Dawson. I definitely think like he had the skills to beat Manuel Torres fairly easily, but he just maybe he was too comfortable on the feet. I don't know, like it's maybe I think bro was sparring with Chris Dunker too much in camp and thought he was him or something. I don't know, man. I don't think there was a good game plan for Grant Dawson, and we obviously saw that with the result, man. But yeah, man. Anyways, great win for Manuel Torres. I love this guy's style. I picked him to win against Bahamondes in the Sphere like last year. Um, and I was disappointed when he lost. But I do think that he has the style and skill set to beat quite a lot of top 15 guys. Like, dude, imagine this guy against Michael Chandler, bro. Imagine this fucking guy against Michael Chandler. I don't even want to say what's going to happen. But anyways, man, I think a great next fight for Manuel Torres will be Ludovic Klein. There's so many good unranked guys at 155 at the moment. Like I just said, we have Chris Duncan as well. Um, it's kind of like a bit of a logjam, like to see who's kind of getting into that top 15. I think Grant Dawson will be removed from the rankings, and Torres obviously just beat him, so he's going to be like number 12, number 13. Yeah, I don't think Torres should get a ranked opponent just yet. I mean, I know he just beat Dawson, who's really good, but I don't think we should rush this guy. I mean, I feel like him versus Ludovic Klein would just be a banger matchup. I mean, Klein definitely is a guy that I think deserves a shot at a ranked guy, and I think Torres would be the perfect opponent. He's a lot shorter, but yeah, he's probably got like a grappling advantage, I'd say, over Manuel Torres. He's just coming off that win over Mateusz Rebecki at UFC 321, but he will be out for a while as he broke his ankle in that fight. But I think yeah, maybe like March, April pay-per-view next year, Manuel Torres versus Ludovic Klein, or maybe the Mexico card. I'm not sure when. I believe that's in March. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Yeah, Manuel Torres, Ludovic Klein in the Mexico card would be a banger fight, and a chance for Klein to break into the top 15. Yeah, I just think that makes sense. Moving on to the main card, we had Jan Blachowicz versus Bogdan Guskov going to a draw. This wasn't a fucking draw, dude. I know that the second round, Guskov clearly won. Jan won the first round. He was just kind of just doing his crafty vet movement, kind of just moving around, landing his leg kicks. He had more activity in the first round, so I think he won that. And then second round, Bogdan Guskov drops Jan Blachowicz. It's kind of like not really a bad knockdown, a bit of a flash knockdown, so to say. And then he kind of controlled him on the ground for the rest of the round of the second round. Landed a few like decent ground and pound shots, controlled him for sure, but I didn't really see anything that was like close to a finishing sequence. like maybe like almost like halfway through, he's landing some good shots, and Blachowicz was, taking a lot of damage, but I didn't really see anything that made me think, oh, this is a 10-8 round. Like it was definitely borderline 10-8. But I didn't see, like I said, I didn't see anything that made me think like, oh shit, Jan's about to get finished, man. Like this is like he's fucking done. And then obviously in the third round, Jan comes out and wins it, on the feet. I thought it was a great performance from Jan. He was just super unlucky to get the draw, and like I said, I do think he won rounds 1 and 3. Yeah, I mean, again, this guy is just unlucky with the draws. Obviously, he had that fight against Ankalaev 3 years ago now, where he just, he definitely should have won in my opinion. I've got to rewatch that, but from what I saw live, it's like damn, he couldn't even like walk. Ankalaev couldn't at the end of the fight, and I know he got takedowns in control time, but he wasn't aggressive with it. But that's beside the point, man. Disappointing result for Jan Blachowicz. I do think he should have won, but we move on. And excuse me, Jesus Christ, I need to hit puberty. Guskov, I think a good matchup for him would be Johnny Walker. Obviously, this is a knockout waiting to happen. I feel like Johnny Walker has a lot better chance in this fight than people are thinking. I probably jinxed it now, but he had a good comeback win against Zhang Min Yang in August this year. And yeah, maybe he's like a renewed version of himself. He's improved his chin. I don't know, man. But yeah, I probably jinxed it now, and Guskov's going to win by round 1 KO, which is probably the most likely outcome. But hey, man, I think this would be a banger fight. Bogdan Guskov, Johnny Walker. They're both quite close to each other in the rankings. And yeah, like Guskov did well against Jan, but I just looking at like pretty much anyone in the top 10 except maybe like I don't know, dude, like a Uzdemir or something. Obviously he lost to Uzdemir. Yeah, I don't see him kind of beating anyone in the top 10 at the moment. I know it was a draw against Jan, but he should have lost that fight. Let's be real. And yeah, man, I think this is realistic for him. Like a guy who's still in the top 15, but not in the top 10, and he has a good name. I think this would be a good co-main event to a fight night, or maybe just a main event. Who knows? Either way, they should book this fight: Johnny Walker versus Bogdan Guskov. And for Jan Blachowicz, I think this only makes sense. Two former champions against each other. Jamal Hill, he's probably going to be calling Jan out. You got robbed. I got dominated in my last fight. I got caught and dominated. There's a difference. And yeah, man, I think this is. I just realized this, dude. This is going to be a great storyline because a video just came out today. You guys might have seen about Jamal Hill threatening to knock out Joanna Jędrzejczyk, who allegedly got aggressive with his girlfriend, and he's just like, "Yo, touch my girl again, I'm gonna knock you the fuck out." And Joanna's just sitting like, "You will, you will." So I think there's a little bit of a storyline here. Obviously, Blachowicz and Joanna are good friends. Both Polish champions, and yeah, I think this fight makes sense in the ranking wise. Ignoring the whole storyline, and yeah, that's all I got to say, man. Jamal Hill versus Jan Blachowicz. Book it. Next fight of the night, we had Henry Cejudo and his final fight versus Gaten Talbot himself, Frank Ocean's boyfriend. This was a fucking banger fight. I don't even know. I haven't even checked who got the Fight of the Night awards, but I do think this should have won Fight of the Night. This was a great fight, back and forth. Yeah, man. I mean, Peyton Talbot got a takedown on Cejudo with excuse me. Let me just rewind that. Peyton Talbot scores a takedown on Henry Cejudo, which is a takedown that he learnt from Cejudo himself. Gets the inside trip, kind of emotes on him. He's super excited. And he got another takedown, I believe, in the second or third round. Dropped Cejudo in the second round. Yeah, he was just kind of flowing back and forth. The thing I loved about Talbot in this fight is he knows when to kind of land he knows when to pick his shots. He was landing nice straight punches down the middle, and he just kind of slipped out of the way just enough so Cejudo couldn't hit him. Obviously, being the taller opponent, landed some nice knees. Yeah, third round they were kind of just scrapping back and forth. Cejudo's face was a bit of a mess. Yeah, and then he does the Max Holloway final 10 seconds, points down to the canvas, lands a spinning wheel kick, misses, and goes to the judges' scorecards. And of course, he wins by 30-27 decision. Great performance from Peyton Talbot. I know that Cejudo's washed, but I still kind of picked him because we've never, obviously he got kind of fraud checked by Jaime Barcelos last year, and I didn't think he had that caliber to be a top 10 guy. But if you look at the top 10, this is like probably the easiest matchup for a guy like Talbot, who's a lot younger, a lot more athletic, a lot taller. It's just a bad matchup for Cejudo. But hey, man, respect to Cejudo. He is now retired. Listen, man, I think I'm gonna retire, dude. I really do. But hey, man, no respect to Cejudo, man. He had a great career. Obviously, beat the goat Mighty Mouse, two-time UFC champion, bantamweight and flyweight, Olympic gold medalist. What more can you say, man? Except he's one of the goats, one of the greatest of all time. But yeah, tough loss for him. Congrats on the retirement, man. And obviously, Cejudo's retired, so can't book him with anyone. But I think a great matchup for Payton Talbot next would be Cheeto Vera. Yeah, I think this is a good stylistic matchup. We've got volume versus no volume. Um, I think Talbot's got the grappling advantage. He definitely needs a big name next, but not a guy who's like too high up in the rankings. And I think he's going to be ranked number 10 when the rankings come out tomorrow. And Vera's like, I believe, 7 or 8 at the moment. He had a close fight with Eamon Zahabi recently. And yeah, no one really wants to see Eamon Zahabi versus Payton Talbot because he'll probably just get fucking Jaime Barcelos again. Or, I just don't think he's going to win against Zahabi, excuse me. And it's just like not a fight that the fans are going to get hyped up. Like, oh my God, man, dude, Eamon Zahabi versus Payton Talbot, dude, that's an absolute banger. Yeah, it's just not something I see happening. So I was gonna think about booking him against Sandhagen, but I think that's just a bit of a step up, and I think Sandhagen would piece him up, especially over 5 rounds and out grapple him. But I think this is a good fight, man. Payton Talbot versus Cheeto Vera. Book it. Featured fight of the night. We had Tatsuro Taira versus Brandon Moreno. Now, the first thing I want to address is a lot of people saying this is an early stoppage and Moreno got robbed. Even in the commentary, dude, they were just like, "Oh my God, you should have given him a little more time to recover." Whatever the fuck Joe Rogan was saying, dude. I don't think this was an early stoppage, dude. Tyra, yeah, it was a competitive fight leading up to this. Tyra got a few takedowns in the first round, some nice scrambles. Brandon Moreno, attempted that triangle choke and kind of stalled out the rest of the first round. Second round, like I said, there was some good scrambles in the grappling, some good exchanges on the ground. Tyra kind of gets back control somewhat and kind of starts raining down ground and pound on Moreno, gets the TKO finish. Um, but yeah, man, like I said, I don't think it was an early stoppage. He wasn't defending himself enough. He was kind of just sitting there. I know he complained to the ref, but I think it was a good stoppage. And for Tatsuro Taira, good win. I am happy, thank you. Um, yeah, good win for Taira, and yeah, he should get a big fight next, and you're going to see that in a second. But for Moreno, for now, he should fight Kyoji Horiguchi. Maybe like main event of the Mexico fight night or something, dude. I just think that makes sense. Two veterans in the game. Horiguchi just came off that win against Ulanbekov. I did originally book Horiguchi against Brandon Royval and Manal Cap. But I don't know, man. I just think this fight makes more sense. Moreno's coming off a loss. Horiguchi's coming off a win. And I think flyweight, especially now that there is a new champion, I think that they're going to be looking for, new contenders, seeing as Pantoja's going to be out for a while. And I know Moreno just lost, but, whoever wins this, may get the winner of the next title fight or something, man. We'll see. But yeah, this fight just makes sense. Two highly skilled veterans of the game. Yeah, I'd love to watch this, especially over 5 rounds, dude. That'd be sick to watch the striking, grappling exchanges. I think this would be an absolute war. Yeah, man, book it. And for Tatsuro Taira, he should fight Joshua Van. I mean, he's clearly the next title challenger. He's 25 years old. Super slick grappler. He has one loss on his record, being against Brandon Royval, which was a super close fight. Yeah, and I think Van just needs fresh contenders, and it just makes sense. Two young Asian guys battling it out for the belt. Um, yeah, man. I think obviously this is a boxer versus a grappler fight. I do think Van has the ability to defend takedowns against Taira. Push the head down, kind of piece him up with the boxing. But then again, Taira could just smudge him, dude. I mean, we've seen Van get knocked out. We've seen Van get submitted in his career before. Yeah, I think this would be a sick fight. This has to be in Asia. However it's gonna happen, it has to happen in fucking Asia, dude. Two young, 25 or younger prospects, Asian guys, just yeah, whatever you want to say, man. This fight needs to happen in Asia. It would be absolutely sick. And please, Data, please book this. Please, if you're listening, do not book like I don't know, dude. Manal Cup. If Manal Cup beats Brandon Royval next, you know, next week or this weekend, I can just see Dana fucking listen. All right, fight fans, this is a badass fight. I can just see him getting on Instagram Live and booking Manel Cup versus Van. But from the way that the broadcast kind of, especially with Joe Rogan, like in the post-fight interview for Van, I believe Tatsuro Taira was sitting there and like he said, I think the next matchup for you should be Tatsuro Taira. I think so too. I mean, this fight just makes sense, and judging from what we've seen, like I said from the broadcast, this fight will be booked next, maybe like a May next year or something. I don't know how. I mean, Van's an active guy, and Tyra didn't really take any damage in that fight, so it could be early next year, but we'll see, man. Anyways, let's talk about this fight, man. Obviously, we all know what happened. You know, 26-second TKO. I mean, super unfortunate. I feel really bad for Pantoja. Um, just nothing really happened in this fight. It was a short exchange. Van caught a kick, dumped him to the ground. Pantoja posts on his left arm, snaps clean in half. I mean, they kept replaying it on the fucking broadcast like 10 times in slow-mo. Like, dude, we don't need to see that, dude. That shit made me uncomfortable. Anyway, yeah, super unfortunate for Pantoja. I believe it was a shoulder injury, even though it kind of looked like his elbow just kind of fucking melted into his forearm. And yeah, that's just a really shitty way to lose the title. And I think a lot of people were rubbed the wrong way with the way that Josh Van celebrated after this fight. He was up in the cage, kind of going crazy. And I've, listen, man, he said after in the post-fight press conference after the fight, he said, someone asked him, what do you have to say to the people that think that you don't deserve the belt or something like that? And he said, fuck him. And I agree, man, fuck him. He he doesn't have anything to do with the fact that Pantoja got injured. Like I know it's like not great. It's not a great look to celebrate like you knocked him out or something. Like it was just. It's not like, but again, it's not like Pantoja slipped on a fucking banana peel, dude, and like just like Van caused the injury. You know what I'm saying? It's not like Pantoja just fell over and broke his arm. So he deserves to be happy. He was hyped up all week. He wanted to win. He wanted to be one of the youngest champions ever. He's a super skilled guy. And it's just disappointing the way it ended, but I don't think people should really be angry at Van for reacting the way he did. He caused the injury. Um, you know, Shit, man. I don't know what else to say, Van. But again, super unlucky for Pantoja. I feel bad for him, and I haven't matched him up with anyone, obviously, because he's going to be out for quite a while with that injury. And unfortunately, I get a bad feeling he's like just not going to be the same once he comes back. But either way, whenever he comes back, he should just fight whoever the belt holder is at the time. And yeah, man, that's all I got to say. Main event of the evening. Piotr Jan with an absolute fucking masterclass. This is by far like one of the best fights I've ever seen, dude. And just the fact that Jan was able to beat Merab by decision. I mean, the age-old quip with Merab was like, "Oh, if you want to beat Merab, you have to knock him out or like submit him. You can't beat him by decision. You can't beat him by decision. His cardio is too insane. His takedown attempts, his striking, like whatever." And Jan fucking did it, man. Like obviously I wanted, not wanted, but I expected Merab to win, just based on how his year's been. He's been super active. He wanted to defend his belt 4 times in a year and break the record. Unfortunately, he didn't. Condolences to Merab. But yeah, man. I mean, Jan just fucking had an incredible game plan, dude. He stuffed like 25 of Merab's takedowns. Just had a beautiful high guard. Had covering his face. Beautiful jabs in round one. He was just landing beautiful punches to the body. Um, you know, Kind of reversed a takedown of Merab, slammed him on his head at one point in round three. Merab latched up a guillotine in round four, and Jan kind of like fell down to the ground. I was like, oh shit, it looks tight, and he kind of just managed to get out of it, control him on the ground, and he just had the perfect game plan to beat Merab. You know, he beat him at his own game. He looked in incredible shape, credible game plan, and you know, dude, Jan's fucking back, dude. Um, yeah, masterclass performance. He landed that big body kick at the end of round 4 too, which really hurt Merab. But he stayed. He was so. The thing that I loved about this with Jan is like he stayed so calm and patient. Like even when he landed that body kick, he could have just gone crazy and tried to like, you know, finish Merab, but he just stayed just out of range. You know, he was very composed. He definitely broke the nose of Merab, I think, at one point. He's just landing harder shots. Just yeah, beautiful slick combinations, spinning back fist, left hook. You know, just he just mixed all the martial arts together so beautifully. Like one of the greatest title performances I've ever seen. And I just read a stat that Petr Yan is the first person in UFC history to come back from a 3-fight losing streak and win the belt. So that's just another accolade for Yan. Couldn't be more happy for the guy. You know, he had some bad luck with the O'Malley fight. You know, my son told me, brother, what the fuck? Um, you know, lost to Aljo. He just had a bad streak before his 3-fight win streak coming into this fight. And I feel like, yeah, no one really expected him to win just based on the fact that Merab steamrolled him in the first fight. You know, he did say his hand was broken. Um, but yeah, man, I'm blown away by Jan, man. He is the new bantamweight champion. Yeah, super impressed with his performance. And yeah, couldn't be more happy to be wrong about a fight probably in my life, dude, because the way that Jan performed, he was just like, I don't know, he just, that's the Jan of old, man. That's the Jan that we want to see, the Jan that we know. And yeah, man, hats off to Jan, dude. Super amazing performance. Wins the bantamweight title back again after 5 years. And yeah, obviously the next fight should be the trilogy. You know, it just makes sense. Yeah, Petr Yan Merab 3, because I've never seen a trilogy. Well, obviously they're going to book this, but I've never seen 2 fights where one guy was so dominant, and then the second fight the other guy was not as dominant. But my point is, like, the 2 fights, if you put them side by side, they look completely different, which is quite rare when it comes to rematches. Like usually, you know, one guy gets like a knockout, or it's like a close fight, or whatever it is. But either way, man, super impressive performance from Merab. Condolences to Merab. Hey guys, I'm so happy that I lose the belt, guys. But hey, man, this is my video for UFC 323 reactions and next matchups. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I will be releasing one last video this year around Christmas time in 2 weeks or so. It's a secret, so stay tuned for that, man. Appreciate you guys for the love, and I'll see you next time.